Because you complained about allowing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of illegals from foreign nationals who have no right to be here to come into your city, and you have to pay for it, and you complained. And this indictment was punishment for complaining. Is that what you're saying?
That is clearly my belief, and based on several aspects of it,
Yeah.
That I can't go into detail, but there are other aspects of it that shows me that I was targeted because of that.
So,
one, I'm just happy that he calls out the Democrats. Two, I'm happy that he has this common sense approach, putting New York City citizens first. I'm very happy about that. And just him being willing to step out against the powers that be in the Democratic Party, I think that it's also going to allow a lot of other mayors, and he mentions the Chicago mayor as well, it's going to allow maybe him to step out of this Democrat control and just being a good Democrat and doing what actually makes sense for the citizens of Chicago. Once again, the citizens of Chicago. Not the people and the migrants in Chicago, but the citizens, and prioritizing their needs first. Isn't that what any country should do? In your household, don't you prioritize the needs of your household and the people in your, don't you prioritize feeding your family before you feed the family down the street? Isn't that common sense? Let's get into it. All right.
That is politicized.
Well, yeah.
I think that there were those who were in that orbit that felt I was not a good Democrat, because I watch my city, a city that I love, go through an onslaught of the migrant and immigration policy, a failed border policy. And after 10 trips to Washington, stating that this is a problem. It was costing us a great deal of money, $6.5 billion that went out of our tax dollars. I think that there were those who were just angry about it and thought I wasn't a good Democrat.
$6.5 billion that were taken from tax-paying people and given to non-American citizens. $6.5 billion of resources was taken away from American citizens and given to people that are not American citizens. Just from that standpoint, does that make sense? And if it doesn't make sense, it's okay to call it out. It's okay. Matter of fact, Democrats should be calling it out even more, because your party, the people that you're voting for, they're condoning these things. And these are the things that you guys are supporting, whether directly or indirectly. And I think it's directly, whether you say that, oh, I didn't vote for this Democrat because of this, but you still voted for them. So it's all the same thing. Let's keep going.
Because you complained about allowing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of illegals from foreign nationals who have no right to be here to come into your city, and you have to pay for it, and you complained, and this indictment was punishment for complaining. Is that what you're saying?
That is clearly my belief, and based on several aspects of it,
Yeah.
That I can't go into detail, but there are other aspects of it that shows me that I was targeted because of that.
So if we could just walk through and leave out the parts you can't talk about, of course, but this happens at the beginning of the Biden administration, which is close to the beginning of your administration. All these foreign nationals start showing up in New York. They have no money, they have no jobs, they have no place to stay, and you have to deal with them. And the taxpayers here have to deal with them. So you go to Washington. What were those meetings like?
Sharing with them that this was a problem.
Who did you speak to?
I spoke with Julie Chavez, is one of the personnel, Perez, another personnel. I spoke with the president himself. I spoke with the president first, then
Y'all can see why Mayor Eric Adams is a problem for the current administration, or I'm sorry, for the former administration, why he was a problem for those Democrats. When you have a black man speaking out like this against the Democratic Party, what it does is it allows a lot of other black people and a lot of other people in general to kind of open their eyes to say, like, damn, well, if he's seeing things a little bit differently, if he's stepping out, if he's calling out the Democrats for what they're doing, maybe it's okay for me to do so too. Maybe it's okay for me to have a different perspective. Maybe it's okay for me to not just grow up with this mentality where Democrats are for black people and Republicans are racist. Maybe it's okay to just take a step back and say, I'm not messing with either one of these parties. I don't need to have an affiliation. I don't need to be a fan of either one of these parties. I need to look at it on a case-by-case basis and say, who is putting me and mine in a better position? Who is establishing a better culture for America? Who is going to allow America to succeed in areas that are important to me that I prioritize?
The president came here to New York City. The governor and I sat down with the president, and I said, Mr. President, I'm not sure what they're telling you about this problem, but this is a terrible problem that's playing out on the ground, that we need to fix our border, and we need to just stop allowing people to come into the country with no destiny. We don't know what we're doing with them. And there was some that were coming here that were almost 6 months to a year, in some cases 2 years, without any work authorization. Like, what do you do with someone that cannot provide for themselves for that long period of time?
Well, what do you do?
We had to house them. We had to feed, clothe, house, educate 40,000 children, hold them into a shelter system, the complete package of what you would do for an adult that can't take care of themselves.
And so you tell the president and his aides this, and what do they say?
Basically, be a good Democrat, Eric.
So I mentioned a clip earlier that I think relates to this, that I want to show. Be a good Democrat. This is why when I say the Democrats have no foundational principles, they seem to flip-flop on a lot of different areas. I want to take a second because I mentioned the Hillary Clinton video before when it came to migrants, and I said that she was sounding very Donald Trumpish, very Republicanish, whatever you want to call it, very Tom Homan-ish. Take a look at this video, and then we'll get right back to Mayor Eric Adams' video. And shout out to Urs in the building. Urs was definitely at the retreat holding stuff down. So shout out to my brother Urs in the building. Take a look at this video with your girl Hillary. In 2008, listen to what she was saying.
No questions asked, they're gone. If they've been working, and if they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked, they're gone. If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes, and you have to try to learn English, and you have to wait in line.
That sounds very Donald Trumpish, very Republicanish. It actually sounds very common sense-ish on this topic. And this is where Democrats have moved the goalpost. They've moved the goalpost because they've aligned themselves with all of these extreme agendas. Extreme agendas because they have to put all this fear-mongering in people. And then when you go back to actually what they were thinking just 10 years ago, right? What is this? 10 years ago, 15 years ago? What is this? 2008 it says? What does it say? 2008. So let's say 17 years ago. When you go back and look at what Barack Obama was saying at this time, when you look at Joe Biden was saying at this time, they all were for creating that border. They only were against it when Donald Trump came in. And this is the problem when you have teams and when you become a fanatic of a team. Because the Democrats, and this is why, once again, I say they have no foundational principles. All they do is oppose what the Republicans do. And maybe the Republicans do that in some ways as well. Donald Trump, I see as neither Republican or Democrat. I don't recall a politician that has or that does and moves in a way that Donald Trump does. And that's why he's hated by Democrats and Republicans. It's just certain people have decided to kiss the ring. Just is what it is. So why are these people saying certain things in 2008 that is now viewed as, when it's a bigger problem than it was in 2008, why is it now viewed as the Republicans being racist when the Democrats were saying the same thing? And why have the Democrats changed their tune on these things when it's become more of a bigger issue? The answer that I believe is that because they want to use the migrants to bring to this country and to eventually be able to vote for them. That's how I see it. Why else would something be done like this that just doesn't make sense by people that I believe are intelligent people that know exactly what they're doing, but just don't care because their priority is not the American people. It's their own individual power. Let's go back to the Mayor Eric Adams interview.
Be a good Democrat?
That was the basic overall theme. One of his aides told me that, listen, this is like a gallstone. It'll pass.
It's like a gallstone, it'll pass.
Yes. It'll hurt now, but it'll pass.
Well, you pee it out then. Why do you have to?
well, well said. And then what many people didn't understand, because people believe that, okay,
This is like a goldstone. It'll pass. Remember what I said earlier on the difference between Karen Bass and Donald Trump. It's the same difference between Donald Trump and Gavin Newsom, Donald Trump and a Barack Obama, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, or Joe Biden. Donald Trump is a business person compared to a politician. He's a business person. Let's get it done now. Politicians, they want to slow play certain things. They want it to move and oh, well, we can't do so much of that because, that doesn't align with this group that we need to keep our word to. Let's just not keep our word to that group. They'll keep voting for us. It's all good. We'll just keep moving the goalposts as we go. This is the difference. It'll pass. Democrats, these Democrats that y'all vote for, that have these policies that convince y'all that they're the party that cares about the people. The only reason why they want to push these policies, once again, is because they're not living in the neighborhoods that these people are going to impact. They do not care about you. They simply care about their power. They simply care about that. Now, you may say, well, the Republicans don't care either, or Donald Trump doesn't care either. Let's say that that's true. Let's say that nobody cares. What will we look at? Well, if nobody cares, let's actually just look at the results. What's going to be the impact of this person? Since nobody cares, let's hold them all to the same standard. What is this person's policies? How is it going to impact me? They don't care. How is this person's policy going to impact me? They don't care. How is this person's policy going to impact me if they don't care? And I'm going to go with the person that I can leverage the most, that I believe is creating the culture that I believe aligns with the how I would like society to become.
You're down 170,000. We were able to cycle out of our care. We still have about 52,000 that are in our care. And they say, well, okay, the damage is behind you. That is not true. We took $6.5 billion out of paying for chronically absent students. We could have paid $200 million for. We could have paid for housing, older adults. The long-term impact of what's happening to New York, Chicago, Denver, Los Angeles, Houston, the long-term impact has yet to materialize of what this crisis has done to our cities.
Everybody talks about, well, my Social Security or who I'm going to pay less taxes for. That's who I'm going to vote for. We do realize that bringing people here, these tax dollars, this is what our money is going towards. So it can't go towards a lot of these other causes that we supposedly said, or that we said were supposedly important to us. If improving the impoverished communities is important, how do you do something to destroy the impoverished communities, take away the resources from the impoverished communities, and somehow think that they're going to end up in a better place?
So what do you think that damage looks like long term?
It's a combination of things. We're facing, after COVID, we're dealing with a severe mental health issue throughout the entire country. But specifically here in New York, we have a substantial number of chronically absent young people who were just traumatized from COVID and other things. And they just stopped coming to school. If I had $200 million that I can go out and go find those young people and place them back on the correct course, I'm preventing the long-term problem. If you don't educate, you're going to incarcerate. That's the common denominator in all of our prisons, the lack of education.
If you don't educate, you're going to incarcerate. We hear it all the time, how they build prisons based on fourth grade reading scores, right? I think it's the fourth grade reading scores. Taking resources out of a community that claims that they need more resources, or that I don't need to say claims, taking resources from already under-resourced areas that lack funding, that lack support, that lack a lot of programs, taking away resources. We're saying that and a lot of it may look at it like this. Maybe, I guess you could look at it, you could turn the table and say, oh, well, we'll take these and see, this is the thing. Because as I'm talking, I'm like even thinking about it. Maybe taking resources from people, right? It's going to force you to maybe do certain things on your own. So maybe the Democrats are doing exactly what the Republicans are doing. Maybe the Democrats are doing exactly what they say that the Republicans are doing, taking resources away from people, taking social programs away from people. So maybe let's say that if the Democrats stood up and said, you know what, we're going to take away your resources because we've been crippling y'all too much and it's been hindering your growth, development, and eventual success. Y'all may say, damn, Dak, that's what you say all the time, right? That's why you want Trump. Just don't do anything for us. Don't be a crutch. The only difference is our tax dollars are going towards it. So if Democrats are going to do that, cool. But I don't want my money going towards a cause that doesn't impact me. But tax us less. I don't want you taking my money and putting it towards a crutch for somebody else that's here illegally and taking away resources or just taking away my money out of my pocket. So it's like either way you look at it, it's just inconsistent behavior, in my opinion, by the Democratic Party. That's just how I'm seeing it. Maybe I'm seeing it differently. Y'all tell me. Let's keep going.
Have put hundreds of millions of dollars in what I'm doing around dyslexia screening and other learning disabilities. So those $6.5 million that I didn't put into housing, I did not put into senior care. We're getting ready to excuse medical debt for New Yorkers that are dealing with severe medical debt. All of these dollars could have gone into dealing with the long-term fixes that we were projecting to correct.
And
I think y'all can see why Mayor Eric Adams, he may not have a home with the current Democratic Party as it's currently constructed. And one reason why I say the current Democratic Party is because these are the things he's speaking out directly. Barack Obama hearing this, or a lot of the Democrats, the Kamala Harris is hearing this type of stuff. This is embarrassing them and embarrassing their policies and opening up the eyes of a lot of people because let's just be honest. They use Barack Obama as a black man to excuse a lot of things and for black people to turn the blind eye to a lot of the things that Barack Obama was actually implementing while he was in office because he knew that, or they knew that, oh, if Barack Obama, he's black people ain't gonna be paying attention to it. They just happy that a black person's in office. Mayor Eric Adams, he's a tool for the Democratic Party. So as a black man running the largest city in America, we need you to conduct yourself in a certain type of way. We need you to push a particular agenda that aligns with the things that we're telling the people in order to better convince them not to take away trust from these individuals and these politicians and the overall Democratic Party. So he may not have a home with the current Democratic Party, but hopefully, I'll be totally honest, hopefully the current Democratic Party wakes up and gets away from these crazy ideologies that they're pushing. Because just me being selfish, I want what's best for America, right? I want what's best for the country. So the better that Democrats are behaving is going to put pressure on Republicans to move in a certain type of way and vice versa. We don't want them competing with extremism. We want them competing with whose common sense is going to be best. So that way we're not tearing the country apart. We're not going with the extreme opposites of each other that nobody is going to benefit from or that a small portion of the people are going to benefit from. We want the common sense approach to prioritizing American citizens. And that is going to be done, or we have the best chance of doing that when the Democrats are moving with common sense and the Republicans are moving with common sense, or at least they're getting pressure to move with common sense. And the way that we put pressure on them is based on how we vote.
Did you tell the White House that?
Over and over again, the impact of what these
And they didn't
dollars
seem to care at all.
It appears to me that there was a bigger focus on the national election and not what it was doing to the cities. And we started to build a coalition of other mayors, because when I was standing alone talking about this, it appears as though that, well, Eric, why are you complaining and no one else is complaining? And then other mayors started to see what was happening in their cities. And I started meeting with the mayor of Chicago and Denver and other mayors and said, we have to be uniform around this issue.
Based on Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, or I should say based on his community and a lot of these meetings that we see calling Mayor Johnson out, I would say that he's not uniform with a Mayor Eric Adams. And this is why I salute Mayor Eric Adams for at least being willing to stand out on a lot of this stuff. Now, people may say he's motivated by selfish reasons. I don't know if that's the case. I know that people may say, oh, he's only rocking with Trump now that he got indicted. Well, let's go back to the reason why I believe that he got indicted. To before what he did before he got indicted, he called out the Democratic Party. He called out the president for allowing New York to become overrun with illegal migrants, and that impacting in a very negative way the city that he represents. That happened before he got indicted for anything. So I guess that makes me lean towards more. He just was willing to change his mind in a lot of ways, I believe, because I think he was seeing things differently prior to it becoming a problem. But at least he had the courage to stand up against it when he saw that it was negatively creating a huge problem in the city of New York.
It sounds like they treated you with contempt.
Again, I think they use the terminology, you were not being a good Democrat. I think that was their philosophy, that I was supposed to silently watch what happens to this city. And I love this city. This is a city that I gave my life to protect. And I was watching the erosion. We were getting almost 8,000 migrants and asylum seekers a week, 16,000 every 2 weeks. And we were being compelled by the Legal Aid Society to find them housing within a short period of time until we had to go back to court and fight that this humanitarian crisis is not what is normally someone has the right to have shelter within the city. And they were coming in 1, 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. It was a constant overturn.
I'm just confused by why that's the responsibility of the taxpayers, the citizenry of New York, and your responsibility. Someone comes into our country illegally from another nation, not invited, here in violation of our laws, and it's your responsibility to make sure that they're dealt with? How does that work? Where did that responsibility come from? I
have no idea. It's a national problem. It should be a national price tag. They wanted to give us $138 million to a $6.5 billion price tag and wanted to reimburse us for a hotel room at $11 per hotel room. You can't get a doorknob in New York City for $11. It was just unrealistic, and it really, to bring people into the country without knowing where they are going to and what is their role, that's not a plan, that's chaos. And that chaos started to really cascade throughout our entire country.
Was there ever a conversation in your 10 trips to Washington where anybody said, really sorry for doing this to you?
Never.
All right. So I want to move to one part of the interview because we're going to have to move on from this in a second. Let's take a look at this. It's going to fast forward ahead just a couple minutes and get your guys' thoughts.
You mean for complaining? What's this?
They wouldn't allow the president to communicate with me.
Because you're an indicted person now.
For whatever reason, there was little or no communication. And, Tucker, listen, if it means fighting for this city, I'm going to fight for this city. And I was clear on that. I never told anyone I was going to do anything other than that. I was going to fight for this city. And I saw the long-term impact. Remember, what inspired me to run for office was watching an 11-year-old boy arrested several times for robbery, and just to learn that he was not in school for months and no one was checking up on him. His dad was in jail for a serious crime. His mother was on crack cocaine. And here this 11-year-old boy is sitting inside my precinct. I said, damn it, I'm at the end of the line here. I need to go to the top of the line. I was seeing that again when we were not able to provide services for the people of this city.
Millions of Americans are still clinging to their New Year's resolution.
I mean, what do you think about that? He's not able to provide resources to help a lot of the young kids that need it the most. It goes back to the initial point that he made as far as with schooling. So let me get to this last part, fast forward a little bit, and then we'll wrap up this part of the interview.
Now, and they're bringing their finance money down there, which is the single largest private sector employer in your city, of course, is banking.
Right.
And by far. And they're moving out. And so, how do you pay for a city of 8 million people if an increasing percentage of the population is poor? if the rich people are leaving, which they are? Like, how do you do that?
And and very tired. First of all, we have to stop that far left rhetoric that wants to demonize success. And
Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We talked about this all last week, and we've talked about it for a very long time. We have to stop that far left rhetoric of demonizing success. Let me tell you what he's really talking about. We have to stop this rhetoric of that all people are successful because of they just got white privilege. And anybody that makes a whole lot of money, the people that are super wealthy in this country, well, they got it through doing terrible things. If you're successful in this country, this is where victimhood lives. Because what do they have to do? To convince you that you're a victim, they have to tell you that the people that gain success, so you won't gain success because they want you dependent on them. So the more successful you are, the less dependent you are on the political parties. But the less successful you are, the more dependent you can be because they can convince you that you are a victim. And the only reason that those people are successful because they're evil people that do things and take advantage of you and yours. And that's how you demonize success. And that's how you convince a group of people that they're better off being victims than just striving for the success that they are capable of. But when they embrace this victimhood, they don't even realize that they're capable of, outside of any government involvement, outside of any political party involvement, they are capable of achieving any level of success that they are willing to work for. But victims, they have to convince them in order to embrace their victimhood that they can't attain those things and that they don't want to attain those things. And the only way that those things were attained were through mistreating people. And that's what this man is the things that he's saying in this interview are going to have him on the outs, if he's not already on the outs, with a lot of Democrats. But I think that the advantage that is going to happen is he's going to be seen as this very common sense approach. He's going to be seen as having it the same way that a lot of Democrats have left the Democratic Party, whether it's RFK, whether it's Tulsi Gabbard, whether it's a Joe Rogan going from his support for the Democrats and moving it over to a Donald Trump. A lot of people, whether it's Donald Trump, people said Donald Trump was a Democrat and now he's running as a Republican. This seems to be a common play. Look at what Stephen A. Smith is doing. Oh, I'm the Democrat. He was never a Democrat, but he tries to play that he's a Democrat. Therefore, he can get the support of the people that look like him and the support of a people in that area, but then also be loved by the Republicans because now he can say like, yeah, I was a Democrat. I voted Democrat. So he'll get their support, but then he'll align himself with more of the Republican policies. He'll align himself with more of the things that Donald Trump is doing so he can also win the support of those people. He's playing both sides. He's not doing, in my opinion, Eric Adams, you may say he's doing the same thing. I think he's just standing on business in this way. Now, everybody's always motivated by selfishness. Nobody's ever going to put another group or a country or 100% ahead of themselves. However, I see that this is a path that a lot of people, it makes people look like leaders that we can trust when they're willing to leave their party and not just go along with the get along and be a good Democrat, but being willing to call out that party and then us seeing that, oh, well, I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me, which is exactly what RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, and a lot of other people have said. It's Dak. Just want to thank you for checking out our video and visiting the OG Network. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure that you give us a like. And if you're looking to join a community of inspired individuals striving for purposeful abundance, subscribe. And if you're feeling real